thank you so much for joining me. Polina here, talking to you about the full lunar eclipse happening in the sign of Virgo on the 13th, 14th of March 2025. And yes, it is going to be a blood moon as well. So, I mean, it sounds very scary. We are in the sign of Pisces. We are heading well and truly into Saturn zone, and there's going to be also Neptune there, and the North Node is as well in the sign of Pisces, so it's going to be a little bit hard for some people to process this. The best I can do for you during this time is to consider facts and what is actually going on with you. So it's really, really nice time to take a look at yourself, take a look at your timeline, have a look as to what is really here. So sometimes it actually pays a lot, especially during such a humbling snake year, to just look at that which is. It is a very humbling time. It's a very, very good time to be really good to you as well. So you don't want to go overboard feeling sad or depressed or like asking why this or why that. So the best thing I can do for you is probably to like consider facts, have a prayer for your loved ones, consider what you are doing that is fine, that is going on in your life. Also consider things that are just truly there. I mean, we are facing Saturn in the sky. It's a very, very beautiful also moon in terms of being a Virgo moon, for facts and things that have to do with life strategies, and also have to do with teaching yourself being better off. Sometimes in its purity, Virgo moon does like to look at factual thinking patterns. It does like to see what needs help. It does like to see what needs forgiveness and also what needs kindness. You know, so sometimes like people do also need to log off and just go into their psyche within which there is no need to process things in terms of words and concepts. You know, sometimes during a Piscean time, we just need to relax and let go and go into that part of our mind that is beyond the common thinking and the common word. And some of the time people just need to experience regrets. Sometimes people have to just put things down. It's actually a very beautiful time, as we are in the last sign of Pisces, to just refrain from any kind of frantic activity and to try to get to know yourself as a human, as a biology. And I'm a big fan of this. You know, sometimes it's really nice to go to a sensory deprivation chamber. It's nice to hang out in the hammock. It's nice to be alone. It's a perfect year, actually, if you think about it, being a snake year, to take some time off, to do things by yourself. It's a perfect time to pray, and it's a wonderful time to just stay safe and meditate. It's a really, really good time to say those things also that you have not said. Pisces is really good for trying to right the wrongs, you know. So for some people, not for everybody, but for some, there's going to be a lot of heaviness lifted from your life if you just basically tell somebody how you feel. If you've been very thorough and conscious of a friendship and it has not developed, you know, if you have some kind of emotional or romantic sadness, it's really nice to talk to somebody about it. It's really good to process things, but some of the time just a simple thank you or sorry could actually do everything that you need. You know, so sometimes people go into processing. As I said before, Pisces has a part of itself that is beyond the spoken word and beyond human regular perception. So some of the time it's actually very, very hard for us to know that which we're feeling and to understand that which we are going through. And it is kind of dark to go into processing. It's a shadow game to treat things as words and phrases and concepts. So sometimes the melancholy can come through and we can't help it, you know. So sometimes even children would feel melancholy during this time, and there's no real way to sedate this feeling. So it's not really about trying to push that wisdom through. This is where a lot of people make the mistake of trying to organize their life differently. Sometimes they really, really want to say the words and come up with the goods, you know. And sometimes the logical part of Virgo, even though the moon is in Virgo and it is about logic and trying to do things better next time, it sometimes fails because we are in this very, very tumultuous time. We do have North Node and Neptune and Saturn close to the Sun. It's not that easy to just justify things. Sometimes a doctrine or a self-help book is just not going to be enough. Some of the time a guidance counselor is not enough, a therapist is not enough, because we simply have too much going on. So what I would probably suggest is consider facts, but also understand where you are feeling things that you can't quite voice. And I've actually spoken about this in the previous videos. Something is coming through the human spirit that is beyond the tangible and the logical, and is beyond just thinking and justifying things. It's not about getting things right sometimes in your brain. Although I am also saying that Virgo moon comes in as a helper, and sometimes, you know, she likes to get things right and get things going. It's not actually in the tangible thinking cap, sort of wisdom sharing way that we will probably get to know ourselves through this particular time. So what I've prepared for, and what I've done always actually when we come up to this stuff, is just understand what is and what is not. This is the hardest time for people also that favor illusion. For example, people that have been taking substances, people that have been walking around with certain people that are not conscious of them, people that have imaginary friendships or imaginary love affairs, also people that really want to know somebody who's not available to them. And for real, for sure, this is also a very terrible time for people that have somehow damaged themselves. We will really see a lot of damage. So for example, if you've taken a lot of substances and you got some brain damage, we got some confusion, you have some damage from taking certain even vitamins and supplements. Sometimes it's hard to see what we've done with ourselves, you know, during life. So we see those long-term scars today, like stretch marks and different types of combustion in the body, issues in the body, you know, like issues in the joints and the bones and the marrow that have been there for a long time. So after teaching ourselves a way of life, we now see or sense, wow, you know, I actually have long-term potential, or I have long-term damage and karmas. And Saturn, of course, does speak of very long-term things, and also Neptune being nearby and North Node. It's definitely about like, okay, look at what you've done so far. And this is really hard. So it's really desperately hard for some people that have not been very nurtured, people that have had a very unhealthy life, are going to have potentially like the worst meltdowns. Understanding what they've done to themselves, what like hours of TV has done, what certain substances have done, what certain diet choices have done, what certain relationships have done. So we have a life, and life is a series of choices, and now we understand what these choices have brought to us. And on the higher frequencies, of course, there's going to be people experiencing incredible connection. Sometimes, you know, if somebody is taking your time, like say you're really worried about somebody in your life, or you suddenly are speaking out on behalf of other people, it means that maybe a lot of your business is done. You don't actually feel a lot of trauma, but I'm actually seeing quite a lot of people on a really high frequency trying to help other people, trying to make sure that they're doing well, and also doing some damage control for those that struggle. So there's a lot of humanitarian, sort of very peacekeeping and loving activity that is happening for, I suppose, all of us. And there's definitely going to be people that are stepping up. And then I'm also kind of feeling this, I'm feeling into this, and I understand, like, I want to be gentle, because compassion and love and care for each other is going to be quite a huge part of some people's lives during Snake Year. It is going to be about sometimes stepping in and being the guide, or being the person that shows a lot of love and care, or is the one healing other people. But I'm also feeling that it's really nice to have a look at yourself, have a look at your soul. If you don't really have anything or anybody that you're worried about during this time, you don't have to, like, you don't have to offer a helping hand. You don't have to be a savior of other people during this time, but this may definitely come through for some, even like a crazy need to process other people's trauma, or to go through somebody else's life and to know more about them, you know. So I understand that sometimes this is how people are healing themselves, through understanding the purpose of healing another or giving to another. But I would probably also say stepping outside of religious and spiritual ideals and different ideals that we've been taught, it's actually really nice to stay apart. And if you want to be on the healthier side during this time, and if you kind of know that you're going to go into either like some kind of dogmatic emotion, or you're going to go into trying to save somebody, or you're going to go into trying to process or cry for your past. If you know that this is happening, it's actually a really nice time to step away from all this turmoil. It doesn't have to be a rude awakening. It doesn't have to be rough, even though this is an eclipse. It never had to be tight. It never had to be confining. It never had to be like tears coming up, you know, through your throat. You didn't have to feel all those feelings that prescribed by this time. You don't have to do what other people also sometimes want you to do. Sometimes there will be people that want other people to feel hurt. It's like, well, how does it feel? You know, like imagine like the world, you know, so like there's sometimes people feeding on other people's suffering, and sometimes they also want other people to suffer. And you know, of course, we know, God knows, there's lots of religion and spiritual stuff, religious and spiritual stuff that is kind of aimed to see a person kind of emit feelings like a battery, you know. So are you a battery plugged in? Are you an empath always? Are you the one in a space of servitude? And also, do you feel like you are forced to listen to other people talking, processing? Do you feel forced in some kind of participation? Do you feel like a mega crisis in the world is like forcing you to emit a certain feeling or participate on a very emotionally dense level? And sometimes we know this is happening, and people that are older and have been through several routes of this understand this is kind of like that scene in the Matrix where people are batteries, or this is kind of like a plugged in system where people are milked for emotion, for energy, and sometimes they don't actually have any of their own karmas, they don't really have any of their own pain, but something is pushing them or urging them to be a part of somebody else's pain and to take part of some kind of cycle of suffering and to be there for people that have suffered, you know. So all of this stuff, basically you just have to snip it off, end it, you know, if you are on the cleaner side and you're like, okay, I'm not going to go anywhere, I'm just going to enjoy my time. Should you move, should there be mobility during this type of eclipse? Should you be agile and happy? Yes, I mean, of course, Pisces has a very agile quality. It's a communicative sign. It is quick. Sometimes things happen in a blink of an eye during Pisces. You just didn't notice. You know, sometimes Pisces does like to change things and replace things and do things that are also sometimes a bit karmic for us. It can be a little bit harsh and it can be a little cruel sometimes, especially with Saturn being there in Pisces, but it kind of wants to just like shuffle things around and switch things up. So what I've done when I've noticed that there would be a harshness or a cruelty, or there would be an influx of certain type of personalities and energies, and there would be shifts that would be potentially painful, is just like you kind of go into your own world. And I've talked a little bit about this on Patreon in terms of the beauty, and I would even say the glamour of having your own little universe, you know. So they're like, you know, your own little books, your own vision boards, your own time. Sometimes people have their own timeline. They have, you know, sometimes their kids and the world that they bring up in their home make them feel beautiful, make them feel shiny. Sometimes it's just about not necessarily escapism, but just walking away, especially if you understand that there's going to be something brewing. So if it is something inside of yourself and you are feeling these feelings, and because of the days gone by, because of the times, because of what has happened last few weeks, and for some people like their whole life, there's this feeling of this impending brewing feeling. Like if you are on the darker side of the spectrum of emotions that are showing up through this time, it's really nice to feel good about you either way. You know, sometimes it's nice to prepare with blankets and tea and a thermos, and just like having a wake-up call is fine. It is harsh. I mean, to tell another person is difficult sometimes. I mean, to pull another person to say, hey, you know, I really want someone to be there for me. Sometimes it works, and sometimes, as you can see, it's like dragging someone into your shadow, dragging somebody into your darkness. If you are noticing like somebody in your home or in your professional life is actually having a pretty good day, it's important to allow them, have the compassion for people sometimes, like let them have a good day, you know. But I understand why certain people really have to discuss things, and they have to go through quite a lot together or individually to kind of like brainwave this out of their body, to learn what this is, to understand what they're feeling. And not all of us are feeling shy and needy. Like not all people are going to suffer through this eclipse. If you have had a very consolidating time, I've done a lot of lecturing on Patreon about understanding it is what it is, recognizing things as they are. So using the fixed sign of Aquarius when we were going through Aquarius. To just consolidate and feel fine and normal, and to see where life is taking you, and to make friends with normality, to make friends with innocence, to understand things as they are done, and they have been maybe for a really long time. So for certain people it was just about coming back down to earth and feeling neutral about that which they've got going on in their life, understanding the exact picture that they're painting, and leaning forward towards a more neutral and more maybe slightly romantic life. And all of this was just basically the concept of feeling at home with that picture that you've painted yourself in Aquarius, and feeling absolutely okay with things belonging the way that they do, and things that do exist in the physical existing. Like sometimes people really suffer through this. They would rather escape 7 times over than deal with that which actually exists in their world. So I mean, the time to come to terms and to feel fine about things, and to feel also like kind of fresh and good about what life has given you, and to feel okay about how people have been treating you, that has all kind of come to an end. So that's already been, so that was my main work during Aquarius, is to find a nice neutral, and to work with that neutral, to understand what is normal, to understand what is here, and to also treat that part of self with compassion that has built a big city in one's mind, that part that imagined that life was not what it was, the part that ran away, the part of ego, the part of like reality building that is within no control. So I think that we all have it in the modern day. Also, if we are experiencing a lot online, if we are looking at other people's lives, if we're comparing, and of course we've gone through the dragon year, and you should have really had some good strong vibes left from the mega alpha dragon year. So going into snake, some of us are ready to go into I suppose professional mode. So I'm seeing some people becoming very cold and very conscious about how their business works, how their life works. It's very much about clarity and cleanliness, and having things be very efficient. So they don't really have time to sit down and think and feel and regret. But for certain people that have a lot of emotions bubble up to the top, and maybe they have physical ailments coming up that have been there in the body for a while, it's been part of their history for a while, understanding what the use of a certain substance is done, understanding what the use of your time in a certain way is done, as I'm saying, regrets for long-term use or abuse of certain aspects of your life. It's a really, really nice time to get to know yourself, and although certain people are going to be there, and I'm seeing quite a lot of people very, very easy to be pulled into your story, and it's easy to pay somebody for their time to listen to you, or it's easy to involve a neighbor or a loved one in a process that you're going through. As I said earlier, make it very clear that you are not pulling other people into your process, because this is important. Because some of the time, people have the pleasure of having their own worlds. Pisces is like a world, it's like a universe. People have their own meter, people have their own time, like they've managed to be who they are through certain time spending, through certain choice making. They've managed themselves for a really long time in such a way. But I'm seeing here, as we go through things, people want others to feel their pain, people wanting another person to know what they've gone through and everything like that. And this is one of the worst cases, is sometimes quite often, the older generation pulling in the younger generation into a cycle of suffering and kind of forced compassion. So we need to basically understand, if we're doing this, and also if you are working as a nurse or a therapist, or you have to generally be there for people and your life revolves around other people, maybe you need to ask yourself, shouldn't I just go and do something else? So this is about having choices, so this is about having also programs that you'd rather undertake, things that you'd rather understand, people that you'd rather be with, and also definitely relationships and groups that may need your attention. So the question is, still, although it is the eclipse season and some people are going to feel it very strongly, go and develop yourself, develop your world, neurologically, emotionally. Imagine, it's really nice to collect things, like say you're collecting plants for a herbarium, you are looking at books that interest you, you are thinking about, what am I going to be more focused on next year? because we do have the beginning of the year and on the March equinox, 22nd of March, as we go into Aries. So we are kind of preparing for a new style of life. We're preparing for a new vision. So if you don't have anything to do, please don't get stuck into these emotional, draining, like feelings. If you don't actually have that much to process, sometimes eclipse will take things away. Sometimes electronics can go during this time. I've just lost my computer again. Sometimes things can go missing in the house. Sometimes there would be natural distancing of people. As I said before, during this particular Pisces time, we'll definitely see cruelty, and we'll understand it like when people are also not needed in a situation, but they're still there, and we'll really get to see a lot of people come out of the woodwork in terms of like what they're really wishing, what they're really wanting. We'll recognize if a person is very commercial. We'll recognize if a person is very cruel. So this is all happening. So the idea basically is not to get carried away in other people's dreams. I mean, this is like one of the worst things to do, to be there looking and waiting for things to happen for someone else, and to be obsessed, glued to the TV, glued to the news channels. It's really nice to do that, which you really need to do. So this is about packing your house full of things you want, packing your timeline full of things you want to experience. It's really nice to explain yourself to yourself. So for certain people, especially for young people that have a lot of pizzazz, a lot of energy, it's really nice to spend this energy doing that which you want to do, to make a longer, more structured timeline. Also, we have the North Node and Saturn and Neptune there involved, so it's really nice to read books. It's really nice to do your research. Sometimes, it is about glamorous things. Like, I want to travel to as many countries as possible, or I want to be one of those people that people look up to, or something like that. So you like make yourself a dream. For the younger generations, it's a really nice time to just go on and dream. And I know this is eclipse season, and people like, oh, but what goes up must come down. Things that need to crack will crack. People that don't see themselves properly will have to face that. People that have been on the verge, on the brink of something, they will be on the brink of something, and you just basically have to let nature or let life go through its routes. There will be people melting down. There will be people saying sorry and thank you. Everybody's in their own world. Everybody's in their own evolution. Everybody has their own karmas, and it's important, to witness people's karmas without being involved in them. It's nice not to involve. It's nice not to feel like it is your job to measure time for someone else. It's your job to pack somebody's life full of good things. It's not your job to entertain somebody or to revamp or remake a life of a person that has already consciously or subconsciously made their choices. So of course, unless you work as a fireman or a nurse or something, it's really nice to step out of your position as a carer or a minder, especially if you are self-inflicting that. And I'm seeing a lot of young people feeling empowerment and feeling growth by having a say over other people's lives. And of course, it can be a vicious cycle. So like, I would probably definitely tell you, if you are one of those people that has become obsessed about how other people are affected by you, and if you can make a change in the world, like all of those loud words like, what is my purpose, what is my service to humanity, the best you can do is sit down, enjoy, develop yourself, develop your senses, develop your skills. Really beautiful time to learn and study. It's really nice to learn about world history or just learn about yourself. Sometimes just several hours of yoga can do you so much good. And the idea basically I also have for people that are more progressive is to step out of these cycles of trying to fix other people's problems, because we're going through a Virgo moon. Try not to get involved, try not to get enlightened by some kind of an emotion that somebody else is feeling, like watching tragedies, seeing people crying or dying. Like, all of this is very disturbing to your own field. And just get to know yourself, like understand, like taste, smell, feeling, color. It's really nice to dress differently. It's really nice to surprise yourself with who you are. So you're preparing for the next year. The next year coming in March, meaning this transition between Pisces and Aries falls in the equinox, and this is when the year changes energetically. So just prepare for the new year. It's not important what other people have built. It's not important what other people are suffering from. Try not to make your life about suffering and solving other people's stuff. Make it very clear that you don't want to repeat your family's feuds. You don't want to repeat their interest if they don't naturally interest you. So this is a beautiful time a very amazing time to knock down some foundations. So if you know that you've been taught something at school or in your family tree or in your religious community that is standing in the way between you and your happiness, you just knock it down. So we are here with Saturn. Like, say you've been taught to cry for other people or hold other people up, while they're kicking and screaming and punching you in the head. It's really nice not to be a part of it. So also interesting about positions of servitude, unless you really like your job, like say you're working as a paramedic and you just don't care, you love your job. Positions of servitude without real success or need. You just have to basically become a little bit less interested in damage control, especially if you don't actually really want to live your life as a kind of surrogate or a kind of like a healer constantly. And it's really, really nice to just basically get on your own. Go and drive somewhere, having friends around is fine as long as you are feeling great together. It's like having a nice day, having a picnic, going skiing somewhere. It's nice to be proactive. I mean, just because it's the eclipse season doesn't mean that life stops. And just because it is the 12th global house, the last sign, doesn't mean that life doesn't exist. It's just about dreaming. It's about evolution. It's about freshness. And yes, of course, it's really nice for the people that are experiencing pain and damage and hardship to detox. Just straight up, just detox. And for people that don't have any hardship right now, it's really nice to pump on the pedal and enjoy. Maybe you need more acai in your life. Maybe you need more, I don't know, like gluten-free snacks. Maybe it's just about having fun. It is about doing things that are more juicy and beautiful and on the higher frequencies. Maybe it is about fashion and going out and doing things that are beautiful for you, and like not thinking that other people's journeys are there to fulfill you and translate your journey. So just about independence. Some people, I know this may not sound very savory for some, just need to enjoy their life. Also, it's really a gorgeous time to notice if you have been somehow putting yourself last. Maybe you had kids and they came first, and now they're grown enough to make their own decisions, and you are now getting to revamp yourself. So this is about rebirth, preparing for the next year, which is coming in March 22nd, and the equinox point. So it's like I want to feel good, I want to get a haircut, I want to get a nice treatment, I want to go out, I want to see what else is fresh, so this is very lucky time for fresh things, fresh colors. Of course, spring is coming, so greens and beautiful turquoise and lilac and peach and bright yellow, so it's really nice to amp up your wardrobe. It's nice to find a new style. It's nice to eat fresher foods. It's nice to make a commitment with yourself. And maybe it's very simple, like, okay, I'm going to go for a jog every morning, or I'm going to drink a green smoothie every day. So these are nice, healthy, fun, and agile energies. So even despite, there being Saturn in the sky and, there being the eclipse, these are nice, youthful and very, very committal energies. You can solve a big problem with just something small, like say, I'm going to have a green juice every single morning. So I'm going to put kiwi and a little bit of banana and just spinach and, chlorella and a bit of spirulina into this juice, and I'm going to enjoy it. And maybe this is not going to do anything, but maybe this is all you need. Maybe these are all your daily needs covered, taking vitamin C, going for a run. So this is very much about health. Virgo is not just about troubleshooting and problem solving. It's also just about, having a healthy, kind of lukewarm and happy-go-lucky, easy day. So these are easy days. It doesn't actually have to be so traumatic. You don't have to go through a huge giant meltdown and lose your mind, as to what's going on. Sometimes the choice is very, very simple. What I like about it is actually, at the end of the day, with the Saturn in the sky and this Virgo moon, it's just like, and also Mars in Cancer is just like, it is just simple, it is easy. Have a smoothie in the morning. Make sure that you're eating less fried or baked food. Don't do that. Do this. Don't do this. Do that. It's very, very simple. I mean, some of it is very instructional. It is about alkaline living. It is about drinking lots of water. It is about getting lots of rest. It is about clean living solutions. It is about hygiene. It is about making sure that you are healthy and happy, that you are passing your stool, you know, that you are, you know, getting enough rest, that you're getting enough sunshine. Of course, these are very, very basic things at the root of these big, grandiose, super feelings, you know, like sometimes it's just really simple. It's like, don't eat kielbasa. You know, it's like don't drink the beer. You know, sometimes it is actually just as simple as like, don't put that in your system, you know. And not many people like that, and not many people want to learn about that. So I actually also have considered stepping away from my channel for a while, just simply because these are simple things. You know, are you getting enough sleep? You know, are you drinking enough water? And it gets tiresome because people don't want to take care of their bodies, and some of the time these feelings and these emotions that are very grandiose and these ginormous, just wow, what happened to me, why did this happen to me, is actually really to do with lifestyle. It is about teaching yourself how to live, you know, how to eat, how to sit there sometimes and not do anything, how to respect nature and other people. So a lot of this is actually, at the end of the day, at the core, very simple. These are easy choices and chances. These are simple human solutions. These are simple natural solutions. It is about organic food. It is about getting rest. It is about doing things that are naturally good for you. But because of this being such a simple thing, you know, it's like, if you're healthy, go out there and enjoy. Don't involve in other people's issues. Just have your life. Like, enjoy your life. You are entitled to your life. You don't have to sit there, you know, with a crying parent or like a crying friend. Just go have fun. Like, enjoy. Like, live for today. Live for the light of day. Live for health. Live for healthy reasons. Be there because you want to be, not because you have to be. You know, destroy these rule books that are telling you to, you know, wait and sit, you know, when your body wants to jolt and enjoy and run and, you know, experience life. You know, these are very, very simple things. These are very simple answers. But you see, the minute that things get very simple like that, people don't like. People don't like. And sometimes people feel that a person who is healthy is insensitive or is up themselves, or like the idea of health is somehow cruel, you know. Oh, it's so cruel. I'm gonna go have another steak sandwich and I'm gonna look at you and your cruel face, you know, like that kind of thing. So basically, I mean, we are parting ways, you know. There are layers of reality, and we are all choosing our freaking layer. And so some of it is just like very, very low. It's like sitting at home and crying, and you know, some layers are very high. It's like, jump up, get on the bike and ride, you know, enjoy. Have your smoothie, have your carrot juice in the morning, go for a run, you know. So these are things, you know, it's like, it really depends on your own karmas. And I know that karma is a very, very, very heavenly and very depressing, kind of very difficult concept. But some of this actually does have to do with being a good person and getting up early in the morning, and you know, just simple facts like, you know, how are you going? Is your body alkaline, or is it more like acidic? You know, what's your habit? What's your style of life? Like, how much do you eat in a day? You know, these are very, very simple, super simple answers. And of course, people that are not inhibited and that don't have any pain and ache usually are just the healthier people, and people that are very married to themselves, and they're not living for God, they're not living for their lovers or for, you know, society. They're just alive. They are, you know. The trick is basically to be as simple as possible. If you want to be karma free, and Pisces does bring up a lot of karmas. Of course, we've got Saturn there, we've got the eclipse there, of course. Karmas, and you know, like, honestly, less is more. You know, cleanliness is next to godliness for a lot of people. You know, hygiene, good mental hygiene. You know, see what stimulates you, see what you buy, see how you eat, see how you sleep. You know, so these are very, very simple symmetries, and the joy of this is that you can actually fix almost anything by just going back down to the basics and understanding truths. You know, because we do have North Node, we've got Saturn there. Just understand how things work. It's very simple. This goes here, this goes there. It's just a simple thing. And in the end, you will get a lot more if you have a very nice, clear, and sober perspective on life. And I've been working a lot with my channel and my Patreon during Aquarius, in terms of just understanding the given normal things. and walking away from this sort of mystical, sensual, delicious, kind of slightly depressing, but like so important stuff, So a lot of people, unfortunately, they find the sweetness, they find the pleasure in pain. Sometimes they find the sweetness and the pleasure in feeling depressed or feeling like the agony of what happened to me. And what I would probably suggest is allow these people to feel that. Like, allow, sure, it's fine, it's fine, it's okay. Like, and we need to understand if we're doing that. We need to understand if we have built up toxicity, if we somehow justify our eating or drinking habits or our living habits in a certain way, and we're like, oh, get away from me, you're too young to understand, or you don't know what it's like, I had a life like this and this is how it was, so like all of this, like people are separating into layers. The best idea is not to contaminate yourself. So for example, you have also maybe elders in your family or people in your community that are really like, wow, and they have this a lot of madness and a lot of despair during this time. You just you don't touch it. You let that person enjoy themselves, because now this is the thing that really offends people. We come here for joy, we choose things, and at the end of the day we just get to live with our choices. A lot of this karma shrama stuff is just about how you treat your body and yourself, and of course it doesn't sound very spiritual, does it? It doesn't sound very enigmatic, it doesn't sound very sexy. And I understand. I understand why people want to think about something a little bit more mystical. And when mystery comes in, is that, the body is so unwell or the mind is so unwell, it cannot explain itself to itself. So it starts making things up to just try to kind of like hide the truth in metaphor. And at the end of the day, we have simple things. Honestly, we have quality of water, quality of air, we have the food that we eat, we have the day, we have social media, we got marketing, we got consumerism, sales. Like, we just basically balance these things out, and eventually you've got it. So I mean, the easiest thing I'm saying is here, understand that, yeah, like evolution of humankind, like the different vibrations and layers in which people live and what they have allowed and not allowed to happen in their lives. It is already in its own universal order. And the reason why I'm saying this is very important is just to let the universal order be in itself perfect. Like, if that person is suffering, this is just the universal order of things, the consciousness though is saying, no, go fighting for someone else, go save them. Don't go save nobody. Just understand there's a universal order. There's a very, very intelligent, smart way in which people are all in their own sort of nooks. Like, everybody's living in their own lifetime. There are people living abroad, like right now there are people having parties, lots of sex and fun. There are people reading books, there are people, giving birth to babies, there are people living in closed-in communities and different types of societies. Like, there are different parts of the world. There are people that are living in high-rise buildings, there are people that are living on a street. There are lots of different vibrations, and the whole thing is just working itself. It's like, if you could imagine, it's a cosmos. It's a universe, it's a cosmos. And the better, brighter choice is just to allow it and compassionately treat it. So you're not judging it, you're not arguing with it, you're not trying to rip one thing out of the other, you're not trying to take this person out of the situation, put them into another situation. You're not trying to pull people around, you're not trying to pull yourself around also as a human being. And what we now need is basically to understand that there is no wrong. And now this is like the hardest concept that people don't understand. This is a Buddhist, Hindu concept as well. This is a concept in different, religions and parts of the world. The universe does not get it wrong. God doesn't get it wrong. So it's like when things are in their order, just basically understand. But now, if you are in one of those darker layers of life and you're like, oh, easy for you to say, guess what I've been going through. So like the idea basically is to work yourself out. And yes, it is about health, it is about connection, it is about education, it is sometimes about asking people. But when you're asking people for help, you need to be formal. You can't push them down like, oh, easy for you to say, you're the 1% or something like that. It's like, oh, that person is evil because they have no pain. So like the whole thing is basically to try and not feel depressed about one's place in the world. The universe is very wise, and it is constantly rebalancing itself. It is constantly in flux, and I would say it is constantly in work, or it is always constantly in this joy of life, and trying to make things fit. She's very Virgo moon, and basically what we want to do is we want to respect and associate with everything as it is. We need to respect things as they are, and then from this point of respect and, like, I suppose a level of significance, so you're giving yourself, people in your life, everything in the world, the whole universe, a reason of a doubt. You're seeing a significance. You're no longer fighting it. You're no longer saying, no, this is not how it is, this is not the world that I want to live, this is fake, this is horrible, like, this is not how. So you're no longer kicking and screaming, so you are no longer like abusing yourself for other people, and you're no longer treating the universe as some kind of a game or mistake or some kind of a trap. You just basically understand it is you within your predicament, be it a disease right now, be it lack of finances, be it lack of love in your life, be it lack of friendships or partnerships or whatever it is. It is just really, really nice to just sit there with what you've got and try to work it out with just a simple way of looking at the given, the simple facts of life, the simple facts of biology. But for sure, for certain people, that can't be done. And here we go into Hare Krishna, here we go into Judaism, here we go into polyamory, here we go into, I don't know, some kind of spiritual narcissism, simply because people don't look at the facts of life. And they can't look at it, so they imagine something, or somebody made it happen. They imagine some being came along, somebody gave them some poison, or somebody put some black magic spell on them. So we don't want to go there. I think this is probably like the epitome of ignorance right now, as I'm seeing people just simply don't want to look at facts and, to a degree, science. Just the facts of life, biology. They would rather imagine that there was some kind of a being that came out of the sky and made this happen for them. So it's really, really nice. I mean, I'm seeing, like, also in the last few months, a rise of spiritual nonsense and religious dogma in a collective. And I'm struggling a little bit with this with some people that I've been seeing as well, with these different spiritualistic belief systems really like riding high. And usually this comes in very strong when a person doesn't know how to explain their life or themselves to themselves, so it's really, really nice to get sober. Although, yeah, we could say that Pisces is a hyper spiritual time. You will save yourself a lot of years, you will save yourself a lot of time if you just go down to the basics: food, water, air quality, how much sleep you're getting, how much rest you're getting, what is the time of day, like what kind of environment you live in, noise pollution, sound pollution, air pollution, light pollution. Are you sitting in front of a screen a lot? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? So these are very, very natural, normal reasons why sometimes people feel terrible. And the best idea is to learn from nature, from simple facts, like how many hours a day should you sleep, like how much food should you eat. And unfortunately, I'm feeling like I'm falling on deaf ears, because people are like, no, you don't see this. There is this other element. There is this other thing. And that's when the body switches off. And I've noticed that many people that have come to me also in the recent months that have had a very highly religious and spiritual awakening during Snake, they don't really want to know facts. They are tired of facts, and they're kind of, in a way, eluding themselves to cope. It's kind of like a coping mechanism, like finding these different gods or these different deities or these different things. And I've definitely done it a little bit. Although I never really trusted it or believed it. It's almost like a self-medication. And self-medication is something that's very huge in Snake. So we have to also recognize that, so people feel alone, and then they go into these kind of almost like junkie states of like collecting things and imagining things and going for something that shines bright, like a trinket or like some kind of like ethereal being, rather than actually having some time on their own. So once again, just because we are in Pisces, what should you have in your house? Blankets, lots of teas, like even if they're just normal teas, like just mint tea or chamomile tea. You don't have to drink the hardcore stuff that I do. Sometimes, so you can always have a thermos, you can always have a foot bath. I got online, got on Temu, you know, like sometimes there are things you can find online, like say foot patches, like foot detox patches from China, like different magnets, different like little bracelets to help your lymph circulate. They do actually work a little bit, they do definitely work. You know, so things like that, you know, moxa sticks, wormwood patches, wormwood, moxa, same thing. You know, so different things, you know, sometimes people need to see somebody. It is better if you can do it alone. Like say if you have the arsenal of things at your house and you know, like I'm gonna have a bad day, I'm gonna lay down on my acupressure mat, or I'm gonna have a bad day while breathing, or I'm gonna, okay, fine, I'm gonna have a bad day, but I'm gonna do some stretches, or I'm gonna take a bath, you know. So these things are very important during a hyper yin year, such a snake, especially if you are under the weather, and it is important not to give it to someone else. And also there's something very contagious about this time, so you are on your own, you know. So if you are feeling down, if you're feeling bad, it's okay to be on your own and go through it yourself. And a lot of people will argue with me, and that's fine. And I know a lot of people get paid to be there for a person, like, you know, paramedics and, you know, hospitals and things, but it is actually really nice to do it yourself, you know. So you are relaxing, you're going through whatever you're going through, you understand that there was a certain biological cause and effect, or there was a certain karmic cause and effect that has caused this. Try not to rely on these ideas of God or some kind of like a being causing this, like some demon or some creature. You know, this is sometimes just, you know, just you and the choices that you've had, you know, to make. And, you know, we are living here in our bodies, we're living on planet Earth. It's really nice to just recall that these are the choices that you have somehow made. And then trying to give yourself what you need in the time. Sometimes it is a hug, sometimes it is a balancing, sometimes it is breathing, sometimes it is sleeping, you know. So sometimes it is just about giving yourself what you need and then knowing better. You can do some research, like how do I eat, like how do I sleep, like how do I make sure that my stomach is not constantly processing and my head is constantly going round in circles, you know. How do I get rid of these growths, you know, how do I get rid of candida, how do I get rid of any kind of parasite in my body. And then just very carefully and very loyally, very lovingly to yourself and also other people, try not to disturb them. And Pisces, sometimes people are sleeping, they are preparing for the next year, like they're preparing for the next bout of Aries, they're preparing for the next state of significance and independence, you know. So it's really cool to stay loyal to one's own storyline and also to let another person live their storyline without disturbing them. So thank you very much, enjoy, and I will see you next time. Bye.